Hello everyone, welcome to the Funny Stream. I'm your host, Funny Stream Man. Please laugh.
Not like that.
Nope.
Anyways, this is the Umi team with the Umi stream. Hello.
You better believe it. We're coming at you loud and proud with a bunch of witches yelling at each other. No, they're yelling at a bottom. That's the important bit. Wait, no, Balor's a top.
Stop lying.
It is a switch battle going on.
We stand bottom protagonist.
Wait, what the fuck?
You've been warned when you learned you off that Jimmy.
Oh, I'm back.
Jimmy to
And
Jimmy,
there you
I
are.
typed,
Jimmy the
I
Jimmy
typed,
the
I have
J
no
for
idea
Jimmy.
when it's gonna start. I'm gonna
Hey.
BRB, so I'm going to be a minute. And I come back and I see a ping. Are you there? I'm like, Brohan, did you not see the message I typed?
I
in
specifically said it was gonna be 30 minutes out!
blank? Well, I
I
had
bet it's gonna be 30 minutes out.
Ladder.
Well,
I mean, I
Anyways.
can, but
Anyways, this Umineko no Nakukoto ni stream is brought to you by Ryukishi. Happy birthday, Ryukishi. Also the Higu Umi collab.
which don't
Yeah,
look up
fuck.
if you
Don't
If you
know
don't-
shut up.
If you don't know shit, don't look at it, because there's some characters you haven't seen yet.
That goes for the people in the stream call too.
Yeah.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you, man.
Mm-hmm. At any rate, all video game. Yeah. Also, Nora, what the fuck did you do with the fucking with the chips? Who's Jimmy?
Oh, it's for Jimmy.
weren't when you learned that you
Oh.
off that Jimmy when Jimmy to Jimmy. I snapped Jimmy that Jimmy with J for Jimmy.
what?
Or did you just have a stroke?
Is this a
No,
clown
Noir had a
pasta?
stroke.
No, Crimson,
Oh.
don't just say yes to things.
Yeah. Don't speak for me.
Okay, let me post the thing. I'll show you.
That said,
That said, we've already done all we can. Do you think you'll be able to do anything about the bars?
no,
Just a sec.
okay.
Unfortunately, they're tougher than expected. It's like they're metal or something. I don't know when these were made, but there's no problem with their lifetime guarantee. These truly were rather built rather well.
Kyrie chuckled softly. They had no moves they could make, but she had calmed just a little.
Let me get unreclined. Wait, give me a second.
This place is just like the capture point of a chess game. So, there are no remaining moves left to us.
Not yet. It's still too early to give up. If we stop thinking, we might as well stop breathing, right?
Exactly. Chess pieces in the capture pile may serve no purpose, but in shogi they can be quite significant. Just one captured pawn should be able to put pressure on the opponent.
I see. But still, there is nothing that can be done about these bars.
For us, maybe. But if we can figure out where this is and contact Goda-san, he might be able to come and save us.
I see. But that would mean putting Goda-san in danger. And if that happens, I would also be worried about the children in the guest house, alone without a full-grown adult male.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, cool.
Oh,
When you're afraid of risk, it's alright to bide your time until the price starts to go up. However, if you're too afraid to cut your losses, you might end up with just a scrap of paper. Though in this case, that represents our lives.
And our dignity as parents, right? After talking big like that during the telephone call, telling them that they should behave just because we'll manage something on our own. We can't just start asking for help right away. That would be very uncool.
By this point, I've long thrown out such useless pride. Why don't we put our heads together? Where is this? Is it really underneath the dining hall? Or else is it a different place, separate from the mansion?
Kraus, Kyrie, and Nanja began to discuss this further. Cannon was squatting by the bar, suddenly trying to sense anyone's presence, just as he had been ordered. Shannon came close to him, and they both squatted down together.
Do you sense anyone?
There we go. Cool. You're good.
Yes. They haven't focused their attention in this direction, but there's somebody relatively close by.
Is it human?
I think it's the goats. Their breathing is rather noisy.
Cannon's ability to sense the presence of others was several levels above that of a human. So that their breathing was noisy, but Kraus and the rest couldn't even pick up the slightest hint of it. Therefore, if he had immediately reported it, they would have merely doubted Cannon's ears.
They got us, didn't they?
It's rare. To think that they captured us without even killing us.
This time, Beauty-sama didn't make an appearance. And Master left his study. I don't have a clue what's going on.
I know. Whatever happens or changes, it's all for the witch's fickle entertainment. In the end, nothing will change.
I wonder if we'll be able to go to the Golden Land this time.
Who knows? We have a high rate of losing.
Come to think of it, it's very rare for us to survive the first night together. I get a feeling it's incredibly unusual for us to be able to talk together like this, even though the ceremony is already begun.
That may be. But even that's just for the witch's entertainment a bit. Can't think of it as anything other than her letting us live just a little longer to ridicule us, since we usually drop out right at the beginning.
I wonder if we'll be unable to reach the Golden Land again.
I'm sure we won't make it there. If we hold on to any foolish hope, we'll get taken advantage of again.
That's right. Last time you got taken advantage of, didn't you?
I'm an idiot.
Cannon made a sour look and turned his head. Shannon laughed softly and apologetically leaned toward his shoulder.
But I'm glad Milady is safe.
She's only escaped from the first twilight. She might just be waiting for an even crueler death later on. What about you, Nason? Aren't you glad George-sama's safe? It'd be nice if you two could reach the Golden Land together.
Thank you. I wish the same for you and milady as well.
I wasn't hoping for anything like that. It's just as you say. That witch is only having fun, dangling prizes in front of us, in front of people, and watching them vainly try to get them. I'm sure no one will be able to go to the Golden Land. If I wish to reach the Golden Land with Milady, then that person will find it funny, and will certainly never let us reach that place.
You're right. Beatrice and I is thinking about which order of sacrifices will be the most interesting.
The whole thing about them being chosen at random is just a blatant lie. That swindling witch. All that about having any wish you want granted in the Golden Land is probably just a lie too.
That's not true. The Golden Land is a wonderful place.
Have you been there?
Only for a little bit. Though, even that was probably just a joke of Beatrice and us.
What's it like there?
Well, it's a wonderful place. I can't really explain it well. It's like a world from a pleasant dream.
A paradise-like place, with roses blooming all over and beautiful butterflies dancing about, or something like that?
It's not a place with a tangible image like that. It's really like the inside of a dream. When you're there, it's very gentle, very peaceful. And you're allowed to sleep as long as you want, like when you wake up early on a day off, lying on a futon. Sunlight comes in through the cracks in the curtains, and you think you'll have to wake up soon. But then you realize it's your day off, and you can go back to sleep. It's a place where you can feel like that.
I think you'd be wasted on me. Waking up on an accident even though it's your day off is something you only do, Nason. So,
Well, when I was there, it was very satisfying and very calm. When I returned to this world, even though I had just been there a second ago, I couldn't remember it well. It's like when you can't remember a dream you were just having. But I still remember that it was a very calm and quiet world.
that's it? What the heck? That Golden Land she's always bragging about isn't anything great at all. I thought it was a place where all your wishes came true.
That's right. It's a place where all your wishes will be granted. Well, maybe that's not quite it. It might be better to say that it's a place where you won't wish for anything. For example, Canoncon. If you were cold and wished you had a jacket, you'd be happy to be given one. But if you were in a warm room to begin with, there wouldn't be a reason to want a jacket, right? That's what the Golden Land is like. There's no need to even wish for most wishes. It's a world where everything is calm. You could even say it's a place that transcends the concept of having your wishes granted will bring happiness. A world released from everything.
It sounds somewhat like a religious world.
There, everything is equal. Anything that can think is equal. There are no humans, furniture, no witches. There, I was equal to everyone. There was no longer any need to feel ashamed that I was furniture. It was honestly a happy world where all humans and even witches were equal. I can't really remember it well, but I have the feeling that when I was there, I was equal even to Beatrice-sama, and we were good friends.
If that witch is there, it can't be as much of a paradise. So you want to go to that golden land with George-sama. How strange. The golden land is a utopia where you can be pleased with everything, right? Wouldn't you be content even if George-sama wasn't there?
The golden land is very calm, peaceful, and everything is equal. But actually, happiness alone is left out.
Oh, she's having issues at the moment.
Who, me?
I mean, you were like dipping in and out. What the fuck's the deal?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't dipping. I accidentally
were?
pressed Stream Rosa.
Oh,
That's
but that's what I
Shelly.
meant.
I just dipped out real quick. I accidentally pressed on Rosa. I said the line.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I didn't
Was
hear
I
you.
just too quiet?
You might want to try it again.
It isn't
I'm
a
so
happy.
sad there wasn't a ping. I missed the beginning.
Sorry, that's
Anyway,
my
we're
bad.
going.
I forgot to ping it.
Of course, just by being peaceful, calm, and equal, it's an incredibly
so.
happy world. But I guess you could say it's a world of zero, where you'd be released from all negative worries. The human world is filled with negatives, so of course the zero world is incredibly happy, but it's still zero. What a luxurious problem to have. It's something like this. When you're nodding off on your quiet holiday morning, if the person you love the most is next to you and holding your hand, then it becomes an even greater, more wonderful happiness. Something like that. Sorry, your Nesson is too dumb to be any good at analogies.
In other words, to you, the greatest happiness would be reaching the world together with George-sama.
Yes. And surely for you, it will be reaching that world together with Milady.
We'll be released from our worries in a fair world? It's like some kind of strange religion. I'm more worldly minded. I imagine a world where we would be given some magic medicine and we could be reborn as humans or something more like that.
If you go, you'll understand. If Beatrice-sama really is a fickle person, then surely someday she'll let you get a glimpse of it too. If so, then you'll be able to understand my analogy.
Well, I'm not holding my breath. At any rate, it seems like game over for us this time already. I'll hope for another chance.
You're right. If we cling to any overambitious hopes, Beatrice-sama will take advantage of us. It might be best to just stop thinking and let fate take care of us.
We can just be as simple chess pieces. No matter what we think, or don't think, we can't escape from the witch's chessboard. Our role is now just to wait and see how we'll be tormented to death. For us, the dream of the Golden Land is too empty.
You're right. Sorry.
Kenan shrugged his shoulders and then told Shannon to leave him alone because she was in the way of his duty, distancing himself from her. Realizing her thoughtlessness in bringing up such an inappropriate topic and instead hurting Kenan, Shannon bit her lower lip and stared at the ground. Shannon wouldn't bother him anymore. She went off and crouched down in a corner by herself. At that moment, Kenan perked up. The ears of a cat when it reacts to a strange sound.
What's happening?
Shh. Krasama, someone's coming.
What?
The end of their conversation strained their ears. For a while they couldn't hear anything. But eventually they were able to hear the shuffling sound of a large group of people walking.
So, they've come.
Time to pay the piper. Or perhaps this is our first and last chance.
I shall talk to Kinzo-san. I will try to somehow find out where this place is.
We're counting on you.
During the last phone call, Curie had asked what the time over at the guest house was. By doing that, Curie had learned that it was the same as her watch, and that she had learned that their watches hadn't been set back. It wasn't just the clocks on the walls in the guest house. Several people's watches, including George's and Goda's, had matched. If that was the case, then it had only been a few minutes between the time of the massacre and the dining hall, the time they had been transported to the dungeon. Not enough time had passed for them to be knocked out and carried away. Then were those really pitfalls, meaning that this was an area directly under the dining hall. All they could do was pray that Nanjo could find out where this was.
They're coming. There's probably 4 people. The Master, and 3 of those who appeared in the dining hall.
That's enough. You come back here as well. We'll deal with the rest.
Shannon-chan, sorry, but can I have you sit by the phone? Hide it with your skirt.
Yes.
The shuffling came close, and there was the sound of a large door being opened in the hallway. The light they were apparently carrying illuminated the hall, stroking the walls with a sharp, razor-like shadow. And then the light from the lantern they held illuminated the prisoners through the bars. The bar's sharp shadows divided them up lengthwise. There were 4 silhouettes. It was Kinzo, Ronave, Vergilia, and Gap.
Silence, everyone. Please welcome the head of the Yoshimura family, Lord Goldsmith.
B had to BRB, but Kaneko said she's back on her phone. PC. Are you there, Kaneko?
Kaneko?
I mean, PC. Are you there, Kaneko?
Kaneko?
Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there, Kaneko? Are you there,
Can you hear me?
I can.
Yep.
B had to BRB, so I guess we'll do the swap now.
Mm-hmm.
One sec.
Oh.
Well, 1 sec is in. I'm still trying to get my Discord to go ahead and reset over to the space bars, the push to talk.
So, how did your computer reset go?
Fairly well.
I'm glad to hear it.
Hey. Hello. Oh, hey.
Oh, B's back. Okay.
Alright, cool. Go ahead, babe.
Shoot for the moon.
Smith.
Its father's pen name. Seems he always signs with it when writing those bizarre grimoires.
Kindle, made English style? Shouldn't that be Gold Warehouse?
What more is a warehouse than a place to keep things in? However, I give birth to gold and use my craftsmanship to further increase its worth.
Fuck, that
Don't
actually
you
scared.
don't you think Smith is much more fitting?
True enough. I apologize for butting in.
Kenzo-san. Just what is going on? Where in the world is this?
Oh, my friend. Can't you remember? True, you may have never entered the prison, but you should remember walking through this corridor.
Sure. You don't mean...
Do you have an idea?
Well, it's unthinkable. Firstly, we fell through a pitfall, and we were locked up in here only after a few minutes. Not only is the distance too great, that's physically impossible.
For a human, right?
Father, is this the mansion? To think that the mansion had a basement like this.
Kraus! Wasn't there a place whose existence you all whispered of? And which you followed after me several times trying to find? This is that place. No, to be correct, this is its basement! Ha 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 ha!
This place would be the basement of Kumadorian.
Splendid observation. This is indeed the basement of Kuadorian.
Kuadorian? You don't mean Father's rumored hidden mansion? It really exists?
The mansion was constructed for the sole use of my beloved witch, Beatrice! It's really a shame that I cannot guide you to the above-ground sections, as is such a beautiful and elegant mansion.
How lovely. Just the two of them alone in a mansion with a prison like this. I guess Father's tastes are a bit more than I can stomach.
Kyrie-san. Perhaps it would be wiser to refrain from such rude comments.
But I agree. If a mansion I was given had this kind of dungeon in it, that'd shake me out of even a century-long love. I'd take anything of value and run.
Oh my. So you do have an interest in those kinds of things.
Don't.
And here, I was thinking you went head over heels for it.
Of course I go head over heels. Like if I got a collar something for a birthday present.
But only if he's hot!
Silence. Perhaps you could use a gag more than a collar right now.
Oh, you have an interest in that, too? You sure I'm picky, Leia.
Don't go around shortening people's names on your own.
Enough, you nosy women! Sorry, noisy. Yeah. Are you telling me that you'd like to be locked up in the same cell?
I apologize, Master. This old body of mine would not be able to stand such a cold prison.
Virgilia quickly apologized, but Gap and Ronave merely laughed together. It's like they thought that they alone couldn't be imprisoned. Or else that even if someone else tried to imprison them, it'd be pointless.
A prison is a place from which the captured cannot escape. That implies a strong will and love to not let them go for a lifetime. So you were speaking of love to a woman you give up on only if she ran away. A woman who makes you so insane that you don't want to let her escape, to the point of binding her in chains. Because she was worthy of that. She was a love worth sacrificing my life for. I will not ask you to understand.
No one can bind me. I will not be bound. I don't want to be loved. I want to love. I feel the same as Goldsmith. That's why I understand the madness of your love.
Love and madness are two sides of the same coin, or so they say. How bothersome.
But learning where we are so easily was a big step. We'll ask the details later, but it seems you know about this place, right, Dr. Nanjo?
Yes. If that hallway is the underground passage beneath Coadorian, and if we go straight down it will become a long tunnel, and if we stay on that, we should be able to return to the mansion.
And then if we could just do something about these bars, we could go home.
Father? What are you planning to do with us?
As I've already declared, you'll become sacrifices for the later twilights. There are conveniently 5 people here. Exactly enough hostages for the 5 gougings.
I see. Then it's time for us to pay the piper.
Eventually. That's not why I've come to visit you this time. So relax. Besides, I believe I've said it already. If one of my grandchildren is deemed suitable to inherit everything from me, then the ceremony will be called off. In other words, your lives will be spared.
What are you planning to do to the children?
I shall give them a test. A test to see if they are suitable to be the successor or not. If even one of them can surprise me, I'll call the ceremony off.
And if there isn't anyone suitable, what are you planning on doing with the children?
There's no need to worry about that. After all, you will all be sacrificed first. How could anything that happens after that concern you? Entrust your fates to your own children. Your children, the embodiments of what you've borne, taught, and raised. They should be the most suitable ones for you to entrust with your fate. Don't look so worried, Kraus. Believe in the daughter that you brag is worth 10 billion yen.
Exactly. Children are the embodiment of their parents. It's fitting that we put our fates in their hands. And that applies to even you, Father, right?
This girl has guts. What a waste on Rudolph.
Curious, son. Wouldn't it be best not to aggravate him too much?
I agree. Let's bear with it for now.
That's right. After all, we're just fish on the chopping board. There's nothing we can do now.
Ha! Though you can insult me with such vigor, I was like that kind of woman, see? Beach is like that too in the beginning.
Master, perhaps we should get back to the main topic. We've been off track for a while now.
Ah, yes, there was that. Sorry, my friend. Well then, back to the main event. For that, I prepared a phone. Shannon, how clever of you. You don't have to hide it any longer. That's something I arranged for.
My apologies.
Shannon quickly withdrew herself and the telephone was revealed.
Kraus. Call the grandchildren in the guest house. Tell them of the test and of the start of my trial.
Only motion for Kraus to pick up the receiver.
And if I say no?
Oh! And why do you think you're in a position to negotiate? If you don't make the call, then the grandchildren won't even be given a chance. The Ashurmia family will end here. And I'll sacrifice you all right away.
You'd be lucky to become sacrifices right away. Don't you think it'd be more painful to watch the children get sacrificed first, before your very eyes?
Gap. The master is the one who decides the sacrifice order. Don't say things on your own.
Leah, you just tried to shorten my name, didn't you?
I did not. And I told you not to shorten other people's names on your own.
Women truly are
noisy.
Umineko no Nakukoro ni.
Alright, back to Andrew.
Sorry about that, I was taking notes heavily.
Quick question.
What the fuck?
That was a good question.
Really quick.
I'm going into Rosa.
Good question.
Yeah.
Rindy's gone. Never mind. I was gonna, because Rindy.
I'm no longer gone.
Oh, Rindy,
Good thing.
You just cut out, Josh. I have no idea what you just said.
Rindy wants to be Mammon. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right, cool.
It's
There we
me
go.
talking to myself so much.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you.
Well, let me just adjust the chart really quickly. Chart has been adjusted. You are
The
now Mammon.
Grimwire has been rewritten.
Clink that Nanjo had opened and later passed on to his son still existed on Nijima. This aged doctor was Nanjo's son, but the atmosphere about him was very different. Bone, you're voicing your son.
Holy crap with the chins.
I am truly sorry to say this after you have come all this way, but I have nothing in particular to tell you.
Nanjo's son said that very indifferently.
After the accident on that island was taken up by the broadcast in a most indiscreet manner, even my father, who was Mr. Shiromiya's doctor and friend, was focused upon by many. Why am I not reading? By many with a wholly regrettable interest. Of all of it was without proof, and they even managed to file all my father's previous achievements. I still feel a great deal of resentment because of that.
I think that's understandable. The same thing happened to me.
Gone?
Kaneko? And Josh is out
One
too.
second.
Lovely.
Push to talk sucks.
You get
Alright.
used to it.
You'll get used to it, don't worry.
I got used to it.
Okay. Am I
Hold down on it until you are
Am I
done
clear?
talking.
Yep,
You
you
are
are
clear,
clear.
yes.
good? I'm clear.
Mm-hmm.
Huzzah!
I had to put up with it constantly since I was 6.
You did not get that entire first half of the sentence.
Wait, I heard it.
She said the first half of it.
Oh, you did?
Oh,
All right,
the
shite. Okay.
Yeah.
True. My apologies.
The doctor finally remembered that Angie was also a victim who had been exposed to the same curious eyes as he had been.
In that case, you can probably understand why I don't want to have anything to do with that incident. That was an unfortunate accident. The only ones who want to make a fuss about it being a crime are those irresponsible TV shows and magazines. I am more than fed up with their attitude.
Nanjo had been bathed with attention for being one of Ishirimiya Kinzo's few friends. Because there was probably an aggressive and persistent rush among the witch hunters and the press to use Nanjo's son as well, a surviving relative, as a source of information. The doctor went on, criticizing the press indignantly.
I really understand how you feel. For a person like me, who was observed even in her personal life, and whose privacy, likeness, and even human rights might have been violated. It's really easy to pick up on the anger of someone in your position. And for that very reason, I want to know more than anything else what in the world happened in that incident that so thoroughly ruined my life. So I came here. I'm a related party, just like you. Not a magazine columnist or an interviewer. Please, don't get the wrong idea. And I didn't come to do this for fun. Quit looking down on me. If we're gonna argue over whose life was most screwed up by the incident, you're no match for me.
Ugh.
Angie spoke sharply. The doctor, who hadn't imagined that he would be talked back to in such a forceful manner, couldn't help but fall silent. From Angie's perspective, the doctor really was whining over nothing. She really didn't want to be looked down upon. It's about time to let him understand how many days had passed for her before arriving on this island. The doctor realized that he'd said something wrong and remained silent for a while, looking uncomfortable.
I know it's probably painful to remember what happened at the time, but if there's anything you do know, please tell me no matter what it is.
Can you please turn down your TV?
Sorry.
It's fine.
I thought I did have it turned down.
What are you watching that's so good?
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood?
Okay.
It is good.
Why are you watching that while we're doing this?
I thought it would be fun to watch it again.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, paying attention to mystery VN is important.
Don't worry about it. Let's keep reading.
Anyways, let's keep going.
I play video games sometimes during the show. It's fine.
Don't worry. Oh yeah. Don't worry about it. Let's just keep reading.
Of course, I'll keep quiet about it. I visited here today to bring some resolution to my life. I'm 18. That incident took away 12 years of my life. And it'll probably keep on taking. Since the day when I was 6 years old, I've remained shut away in darkness. Are you saying that despite that, I still don't have a right to know?
No. How rude of me. It seems that since all the others who were ill, came were ill-natured folk, I instinctively put up my guard. I apologize for my rudeness.
Still you.
Oh shit. I understand. If you'll swear not to breathe a word of this to anyone, I'll tell you everything.
Thanks, Doctor. Then if you would, please tell me anything you can.
As you know, my father was not only Mr. Yoshimiya's head physician, but his friend through a game of chess. That relationship was very long, stretching back to the time Mr. Yoshimiya moved to Rikinjima.
Just how close were they?
Very close, it seems. It seems that their connection through chess led my father to stay at Mr. Shiomiya's mansion quite often. Although I may not be one to talk, Mr. Yoshimiya was extremely moody. And my father was an exceedingly magnanimous man who excelled at interacting with humans like him. It's not hard to imagine that he was a rare friend for the isolated Yoshimiya.
That day was the day of the family conference. At the Yoshimiya family conference, the inheritance and how it would be distributed were rigorously discussed, making it almost like a financial conference. Which means Dr. Nanjo must have gained a trust so great that he was asked to attend even that. Right?
Oh, wait. My father was a simple doctor. So I cannot imagine that he was in a position to advise on the distribution of wealth for a massively rich family like the Ushirimiya family. He was most likely called there to assist with Mr. Ushirimiya's health, because it was not at its best time at that time. Best at that time. I don't know why I'm having a hard time reading. As Kinzo's close friend, I'm sure my father would have kept his mouth shut, and that he was trusted not to leak the secrets of the family conference.
Wasn't Ushirimiya Kinzo in very bad health at the time? Were there any medical charts left behind? Any at all?
Perhaps he brought the medical charts with him on the day of the accident. I'm afraid to say that the entire folder of Mr. Ushirimiya's medical charts have been lost.
Shit.
He was my father's patient, so I don't know the details.
Around the time of the incident, did anything strange happen?
Yes, there was one thing. However, it seems exceedingly likely to invite misunderstandings, so I very much do not wish to discuss it.
What is it? Please tell me.
For a while, the doctor beat around the bush. Saying this much, he wouldn't be able to fool Angie by dodging the subject. He eventually gave in, and after making Angie swear himself to secrecy again, told her.
The truth is, several days after the incident, I received something by mail at my home.
By mail?
It was very curious. The sender was made out to be me, but I have no memory of it. Someone had faked my name and sent it. The destination was Ribun Island in Hokkaido, excluding the northern territories. It is at the northernmost tip of Japan. The recipient was apparently a resident on Rebun Island. But the name was my father's. However, it seemed like there was a problem with the destination address, so it was stamped as address unknown, and returned to the sender, me.
It was truly a strange tale. Nanjo's son's name was written as the sender. However, he said that he hadn't mailed the letter. In short, that meant someone had faked his name and sent it. The destination was Nanjo Terimasa, on Hokkaido's Rebun Island. The lot number written on it didn't exist. The local post office had been unable to deliver it and instead sent it back to the sender, Nanjo's son.
What was inside?
I do ask that you keep silent about this. It is extremely troublesome to me as well. And even so, I cannot throw it away.
The doctor stood up and faced the bookshelf. There was packed a group of dictionaries that could only have been ornamental, meant to make it very clear that the owner was an intellectual. When he pulled several volumes out from there, a large, brown envelope peeked out from behind them. He took that out and tossed it onto the desk. It had been very carefully sealed with cellophane tape. and its faded color and dryness made it clear that it had been sealed 12 years ago.
I ask most solemnly for your silence on this matter.
Being so persistent that it was annoying, the doctor removed the seal with a paper knife. Then we tilted the envelope, and an already opened mail envelope spilled out. The envelope had a weight to it, hinting that there was something other than a letter inside. The recipient was certainly Nanjo Teramasa. Just seeing that was a huge shock. Following that incident, Nanjo's corpse had not been found, and he had eventually been treated as dead after going missing under extraordinary circumstances. Despite that letter addressed to Nanjo in Hokkaido existed. One can almost take this as a sign that he had faked his own death and escaped Hokkaido.
Was Dr. Nanjo really in Hokkaido? Or else, was there another person with the same last names in Hokkaido?
If my father had somehow escaped from the accident and lived in Hokkaido, that would have made us of his family very happy, regardless of the circumstances. I also thought of the possibility at first. However, the envelope's destination address did not exist. In short, this envelope was mail that had no way of reaching him.
Is there a possibility that the sender miswrote the correct address?
Of course, I cannot deny it. However, judging from the residence's house number, I find that hard to believe.
Hokkaido, Ribun Island, Ribun County, Ribun City, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Up until Raeboon City, it's fine. Oh. You.
But I couldn't wipe away the feeling that the sequential number after it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, was a little insincere. It felt like a fake number that some kid had made up.
They probably wrote a nonsense number that clearly didn't exist. I think it's natural to assume, from the very beginning, this envelope was sent to a non-existent residence, to which it had no chance of being delivered. If the destination's address doesn't exist, mail is generally returned to sender. But even in the case of an incomplete address, the local post office will often courteously, and to the best of its ability, research to find whether the sender's intended destination exists. When they still can't find it, the mail is sometimes returned after an investigation of several days.
This is in general, I think. It seemed that the same thing had happened with this envelope, and the stamp was postmarked on October 3rd. It was postmarked on Nijima. Nijima was a long way from Raeboon Island. Top of that, the destination was also nonsensical. Taken more than a week for the mail to be returned. In other words, there was probably a high chance of that having the envelope returned to the sender after an unfixed amount of time, having been the goal from the very beginning. Why do something like that? Even before asking what it was that had been sent, this envelope had already been wrapped in mystery.
And inside it?
Go ahead.
After getting the doctor's permission...
Getting the doctor's permission, I tilted the already opened envelope. From the inside came a small folded letter and a small key with a number plate attached. Then, a magnetic card slid out. A112 was engraved on the key's number plate. I didn't know what it meant. The magnetic card was pitch black and had gold characters engraved in it. Members was written in English. The jet black gold lettering card design made it feel like something very high class. But of course, I didn't have a clue what kind of card it was just from that. I unfolded the letter. Its contents were extremely brief, and only the following was written. "07151129.
Also written was the name of a certain massive bank known throughout Japan, as well as the words Central Branch. That was all.
And this is?
It's a card, a key, and a pin for a safe deposit box.
Woo!
Oh, you got it?
Called this.
And it wasn't a normal safe deposit box either. It was an unsettling one, which was apparently reserved for only special clients.
After he finished putting his affairs in order following his father's funeral, he had visited the bank. Pin and key and card. To know that something of great importance was kept there, and he had been naturally curious about what it might be.
What the fuck noise was that?
At first, he hadn't known what to do. The card was something that he owned in the first place. He mustered up his courage and showed the card to a bank clerk. He was then switched to a clerk of clearly high status, got into a large vault in the 4th basement. The security on the way there was strict. The doctor had himself stored valuable items such as real estate transcripts in the safe deposit boxes before. This is something on a whole different level.
Unlike the procedure at the deposit box I had been using, with this system, as long as you had a card, a pin, and a key, you didn't need to have your identity confirmed. But, anyway, I was frightened of how imposing that secure vault was. And I wondered, what kind of shady objects might await me that had to be stored in a place like this.
And then?
When I passed the card through the reader, I was asked to input the PIN. And after that 8-digit number was input and authenticated, I was permitted to access the vault. It was an incredible scene. A world like something from a sci-fi movie. A massive, dimly lit silver room was covered with doors to safes.
He entered that room along with the clerk. It seemed that as soon as the card was read, the values the vaults he had a right to were determined. So that safes he could open were lit with a green light, while those he couldn't open were lit with a red one.
A112 was one of those safes that were marked. By the way, there was several other safes marked with a green lamp besides that one. I think there were at least 20. There might have even been more in the other corner. In any event, I only had the key to A112. I had no way of checking the contents of the other safes.
As the clerk watched, the doctor unlocked and opened the safe. When he did, a safe drawer, like a large cabinet, had opened, and an expensive-looking duraluminum case peeked out. This was carried into a separate room, where for the first time the clerk left and he was introduced to the contents.
And the contents were?
Cash.
Cash. How much?
I have heard that the pack of 1 million yen in fresh banknotes is precisely 1 centimeter thick. Then those were packed tightly into a duraluminum case of such a size. It was probably 1 million in total. 100 million in total. I don't know, because I didn't count. I didn't even touch it with my hands. I realized at once. This was dangerous money.
It isn't normal to steal a whole 100 million yen in cash in a case in a safe like that. Less easy to deal with if you put it into an account and turn it into numbers. If someone's able to do that, then it's clear that there's something wrong with the cash.
My mind went blank, and I instantly realized I mustn't get involved.
So, you didn't use it at all?
Correct. I locked it back up, just as I found it, returned it to the original safe and left. I had thought about throwing it away, the key and card, but I don't know what will happen. For that reason, I have been hiding it in the back of this bookcase for the full 12 years. I still don't know what kind of money that was.
Would I borrow this envelope?
No.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. Please just view it here.
Understood. Then, if you'll excuse me, there's something I want to investigate. I took One-chan's grimoire from the knapsack I had set down. Then I opened the page with the paragraph Beatrice had written to One-chan and compared the handwriting on both. There was no mistake about the characteristic handwriting. The one who had sent this 100 million yen in cash was Beatrice herself. But what is it? Something's bugging me. What is it? What could it be?
This is Chelly.
Shelly.
Who's this guy?
We will find out.
Okay.
Yeah! I'm pretty sure I got something like that in the mail. Hey Ma, where'd you put that?
Perfect voice.
The same envelope
I
and
had no
contents had been
idea,
sent
so I
to
just went with something.
Kumasawa's son, who had once lived with her. Been very busy in those days since, and seemed to have forgotten about it while running around all over the place. This is Sawakichi. This is Kumasawa's son. Have a strange grandson. That's right. Its strange contents had apparently stayed in his memory, and he remembered as soon as Angie mentioned it to him. After a bit of wait, his thin-lipped wife found the envelope, complaining that he always forgot where he puts things right away.
Oh yeah, do you want to check out the grandson character page?
Sure. Here we go.
When they mentioned that,
his shirt just says mackerel.
I love how he's doing the I had to do it to him pose.
Kumasawa Sabakichi, Kumasawa's son, works at the Nijima fishing harbor. Must have gotten his carefree, big-hearted personality from Kumasawa. Kumasawa had many sons, and a number of them were always from lands as fishermen. It was purely coincidence that it was possible to come into contact with him, as he happened to be involved with the fishing harbor. Hopes are on him that he might have heard chatty Kumasawa let something important slip, but...
Also, I meant to say the son, Nanjo's son.
Nanjo Masayuki. Nanjo's son took over the Nanjo clinic. Unlike Nanjo, he is a slightly dispassionate and different in expression. After that commotion surrounding Rokenjima, he grew to completely despise the press, and never again did he attempt to speak of what happened at the time. He used to have a daughter who was afflicted with an intractable disease, but unfortunately she wasn't able to live out her natural lifespan. Yeah.
That's a whole side of that character you wouldn't even know if you didn't read that.
I said it to everyone on Discord, but I did not say it on stream. So these two specific characters, for some butt-fuck reason, do not have Steam sprites.
They are untainted by sin.
That's weird.
Which means a Steam sprite Angie is standing to this fat guy drawn by Ryukishi 07.
I mean, it's a pretty simple explanation, really. They just didn't draw these characters in the pachinko machines, so they don't have an equivalent for them.
Wait, do they have a old sprite?
Yeah, they do.
They have an old sprite and they have a Steam sprite.
The weird photograph in the reference room that represents these characters is what their old sprite looks like. They just do that so that it's like, hey, this is like a photograph of them and how they looked or whatever. They didn't have like an equivalent Steam sprite version.
But it's also just that these are characters who aren't going to be around too long.
The Nanjo-san actually looks pretty good in the old sprite.
Is it sad to say that Kumasawa's grandson looks like he should belong on Dive Kick?
Eh?
No. I mean, like you say that.
I resent that!
The modus operandi for the sender and recipient was the same as Nanjo's son. The sender was made out to be Kumasawa's son, and the recipient was Kumasawa Chiyo. The destination's address was the Okinawa Prefecture. Yayama Country, Yonaguni City, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yonaguni Island was at the westernmost tip of Japan, and the lot name was the exact same sequential number that had apparently been chosen without much care. Now it was certain, this envelope was definitely sent with the goal of having it be returned to the sender. Its contents were exactly the same. A letter with the pin and the bank's main branch written on it. A magnetic card. The key with an attached number plate. The inscription on the number plate was A113. The number right after the one on the key that had been sent to Nanjo. The son of Nanjo. Most likely, inside the vault was the same kind of duralumin case, packed with 100 million yen in cash.
Testing. Hello?
Yeah, I hear. I hear you now.
Hello?
Yeah, wait,
You're
can't
good.
hear us?
Hang on a second.
Oh, he can't hear us.
He's got the glitch. Hang on.
Well, if his thing fucks up, I don't know.
I had the glitch where you all turned into demons.
What?
You sounded like...
Oh, robot.
You guys are assholes!
No, we're just demons.
I can't believe the stream has devolved into a corn suit.
Now we're just sounds into the mic.
Sabekichi, please take it away.
I got the feeling that my dead mother sent it to me from beyond the grave! Don't really know what's inside, and it's creepy! So I just left it alone all this time and totally forgot about it until today! So you know what that is, girl? Could it be that same kind of thing came... excuse me. Could it be that the same kind of thing came to your place? I've gotta stop doing the game grump inflection. That's just stupid.
That's way too much energy for this guy. Just, just like talk like this,
Yeah.
like really like unaffected.
Yeah, okay.
Kind of tired.
I'm done goofing around.
Look at this game sprite and try to channel the energy of a friendly fat Asian man. Well, like, I mean, just a
Hey guys,
friendly
what's
fat
going
man
on?
in
It's me.
general.
Hey guys, what's
Yeah,
up?
I'll do that. That's fine. I can
there
do
you
that
go.
voice.
Anyways, Mammon.
What is it, Angie-sama?
Is it a headache? A headache?
Sorry, my head hurts. I've got it. I know.
What do you mean you know?
You don't mean this envelope came to your place too, Angie-sama?
I've remembered. I've remembered. A strange envelope was also sent to me 12 years ago. After losing my entire family, I was depressed. But it was a really strange thing to come in the mail, so I still had a faint memory of it. It was a strange letter which I had no memory of sending, but which had me as the sender. I forget the destination address, but the same name recipient had been Ushiromiya Rudolph. My father. I remember how disturbed I was when I got a letter I thought was from father, opened it up, and found a key and a card that I didn't really understand. I felt let down and threw it away somewhere, I think. Where did I put that envelope? I probably lost it somewhere in the chaos that followed. By now I have no way of checking its contents. However, I have a general idea. I'm sure the contents were the same. Without a doubt, there had been a key, a card, and a note with a pin inside the envelope. Beatrice. What was she trying to do here? So, did she hand out this stupid money to all the surviving relatives? I won't forgive her for mocking them even after their deaths.
Ryu, Angie!
Sakutaro acted nervously. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
As I looked at his worrying face, my agitation began to cool off bit by bit. I'm sorry. My hatred of Beatrice isn't anything new. I was just surprised and angry to find out that I had a connection with the witch already, at the age of 6 on that day.
For the past 12 years, you've been constantly enslaved by Beatrice's curse. This might be proof of that curse. But please hang in there. Breaking through what was supposed to be a part of the goal of this journey.
That's right. Just letting the blood rise to my head won't get me anywhere. Gotta think calmly. What's going on? What's the meaning of handing out 100 million yen to the relatives? Is she trying to provoke us? Damn, Beatrice.
Angie, calm down. Ryu!
As Sakutaro buried his head in my stomach, he urged me to stay calm. I took another deep breath and started to think. I wonder if this envelope was sent to support the theory that Beatrice was behind that crime.
It was postmarked right before the family conference. It was intentionally set up so it would be sent after some time.
They wanted to arrive after the incidents. Is that it?
Yeah. That's what it implies. But it raises a few questions. Why use such an uncertain method?
Uncertain?
Yes. After all, no one could even guess at how many days it would take for the mail to return before you use this trick. Normally, you couldn't even guess at the amount of time it would take for the receiving post office to do their research, determine that the recipient was unknown, and return it.
Yeah, now that you mention it, it'd be more dependable if they just set an arrival date and mailed it that way. Are you?
Maybe, but still. If they made it a day before, then no matter how quickly it returned, it would probably arrive Monday or later. I wonder if they wanted to make it seem like a letter from the dead.
A letter from the dead, you say? You're right. It surprised me, and it made me feel bad. Some mail with my dead family's name written on the outside in large letters was thrown into the mailbox with an ominous label attached. However, it doesn't really make sense to me. I would have mailed it to arrive on a specified day. I just can't understand why someone would allow the uncertainty of it arriving on a day other than the one they imagined.
Are you? That really does sound like Beto to me.
Huh? You know about Beato?
Well, I only talked with her a little. Still, I can pretty much accept that Beto would do something like this. Can't you imagine that happening to Mammon? Beto likes pranks like this, right?
Yeah, that might be true. I wouldn't put it past Beatrice to try a vicious prank like a letter from the dead.
No, that's not it. That's not all. You just find it more interesting to do it through an uncertain method instead of one that was absolutely certain.
She would find an uncertain method interesting? I remembered Maria Onechan's diary. It described playing with Beatrice very often. During those times, Beato sometimes played pranks on the adult relatives with Maria. But those pranks always had a touch of witch aesthetics. Which was that they were more interesting when they were uncertain. One day, Maria Onechan and Beato decided to use a wind-up minicar she had brought for a prank. It was a popular toy at the time, and if you made the minicar back up, it would wind up the spring in the tires, and when you let go, it would race forwards. They had wound up that minicar and set it behind a milk jug. In other words, the prank was that if you lifted the milk jug, the minicar would jump forward and surprise whoever did it. Hoping that someone would get caught in this prank, Onechan and Beato watched the adults from the shadows for their whole tea time. They were looking forward to seeing someone get caught by it, but no one moved the trapped milk jug, and the trap ended in a misfire. When Onechan had then muttered, "We should have put it somewhere where it would have definitely caught someone," Beato apparently said this. She said, "The most interesting and thrilling traps are those where you don't know who will get caught, or even if anyone will get caught at all." It it's probably true that you wouldn't get this kind of excitement from a trap that would certainly go off. Similar accounts occurred in multiple places, making it possible to guess that the witch called Beatrice had a fickle character and loved a random thrill. A fickle person is very hard to deal with. I can't spin a chessboard around to find out what that witch from 12 years ago was planning.
As Angie examined these, her gaze darted from place to place. Then she suddenly showed interest in the wall. There several framed pictures were hung. Many of them were commemorative photos from when the relatives in Kumasawa family, or the Kumasawa family, gathered or went somewhere to play, and Kumasawa was in several. She wore a smile that made it so you could almost hear her light-hearted ho-ho-ho laugh.
Oh wait, is this Angie?
This is Angie. Angle.
It's part of my distant memory, but I definitely remember that she was this sort of cheerful old lady. Did you notice anything different about Kumasawa in the days leading up to the incident?
Shelly?
Shelly?
1 second.
Shelly?
I was muted. I'm sorry. No. She looked the same as ever. The family conference put her on edge, so she was always grumbling at how tough it was.
What's this?
Among the several frames was one that had something other than a picture of people in it. It was a picture of an enlarged relief of a door from a Western-style house or something. You could see an interesting subject in particular, which actually bugged...
Actually
What
bugged
happened?
me a bit, as I wondered why anyone had gone to all the trouble of taking it. As I got closer, I realized that some characters had been written with a pen.
Tabakichi.
Oh yeah, that's a photo I got when Mother's belongings were distributed. I think it probably has something to do with that legend of the gold thing.
A witch's epitaph, you mean? It was whispered that it pointed out the bad location of the hidden 10 tons of gold. So Kumasawa-san tried to solve it too. But this isn't the epitaph. It's the first time I've seen it. There was an arch above the Western-style door, and that's where the relief was. English words were engraved there, and that seemed to be what the picture was focused on. The pen writing appeared to be a translation into Japanese. This door is opened only at a probability of 1,250,000,000 to 1. You will be blessed only at a probability of 1,250,000,000 to 1. I don't recognize it. Nothing like this ever showed up in the epitaph or in Achan's diary.
Shall I?
Except I was muted when I said that line. Maybe I should stop muting.
He's pushed to talk.
In Mother's belongings, there were quite a few photos and notes that looked like she was trying to solve the riddle of the epitaph. Mother was actually surprisingly fond of that kind of thing. And there was that rumor that the 10 tons of gold bars was hidden somewhere. So surprised she got so absorbed by it. That's a lot of money.
In both Maria Onechon's diary and in her grimoire, there was a description of the witch's epitaph. It had talked about how it was a ceremony to open the door to the Golden Land, Beatrice's resurrection ceremony, Beatrice's succession ceremony, on and on. Maybe the most interesting one was the last part, about it being a succession ceremony. According to Beatrice, if you were able to solve the witch's epitaph, you would receive not only the 10 tons of gold in the Ushirimiya family inheritance, but her own magical power and name, as well as the title of Golden Witch. Among the Ushirimiya family household at the time, the witch's epitaph was thought of as a difficult quiz, which the family head Kinzo had arranged for to choose his successor. But with the mariage sorcière interpretation, the questioner was Beatrice herself. And she had posed the question in part to choose her successor. There were slight discrepancies in the details of the two interpretations. Either way, its ominous contents brought to mind a bloody serial murder. And both of the message bottles drew a tale of a crime following that pattern. If I could solve the witch's epitaph now, 12 years later, I wonder if I could expose some plot made back then. I tried to solve it many times myself, but I never did have a clue what it meant. It seems that many witch hunters tried as well. I also found theories like the La Plata theory and the Inara theory in certain books. However, neither of these theories were conclusive. Are there any other materials?
I think so, but they were all split up between my siblings. I don't have a clue who has what. Sorry.
Just reading this English text that Kumasawa-san took a picture of, it gives the impression that this was a forbidden door that was rarely opened. But where in the mansion is it, I wonder?
The door leads to Kingdom Hearts.
Judging by the lighting, it looks like it's outside. I wonder if Kumasawa-san thought that the gold might be hidden in there.
Who knows? Either way, I do wonder where in the Rokkenjima mansion it was. I hate to say it, but there wasn't enough money in Mother's bank account to make me think she found the gold. Ooh ha ha ha, she probably didn't find it after all.
I doubt it. The Golden Witch Beatrice gave 10 tons of gold to Kinzo, which meant that the witch was the true owner of the gold. Beatrice was the owner of all the vast fortune of the Yoshirimiya family. The witch holding this vast wealth had massacred the humans on Rokkenjima on that day, sending large amounts of money to the surviving relatives like it was a game. Like hell, it's a letter from the dead. This is a desecration of the dead. I was once again convinced. When my family died on that island that day, they didn't go to heaven. They're being trapped by the witch even now. They're being desecrated and tormented for all eternity.
The last place Angie visited was a store in the region between the housing district and the retail stores, with a signboard saying Murufuku Sleep Shop.
Sleep shop? What's a sleep shop?
There lived a man who had been the boat captain of the ferry boat to Rokenjima at the time. Even he who had once lived as a man of the sea had retired after contracting a serious illness, and was now taken care of at the house of his son and his son's wife.
Who's this?
This is AC.
I remember it very well.
Oh, perfect voice.
You're still about this small. Look how you've grown. And must have been very tough on you. I know very well how you must feel.
The former boat captain was in such high spirits that you couldn't really tell why he had retired in the first place. Memory seemed clear, too, and he could remember the events of more than a decade ago. Well, apparently even about how Angie had been at the time. The way he chatted on was very helpful for Angie. But at the same time, he also remembered the final family conference very well. The fact that he remembered even details like Battler's fall madness in the boat was actually painful for her. It had been so back then as well, but even now, there was no public way to cross through Rokenjima. Necessary to make an individual request to an owner of a boat to make the voyage. I'd.
Wait, is this
I've
me?
been unable to arrange for a boat to Rokenjima. So if he refused me, such a voyage would probably become hopeless.
I getcha. It won't be easy to find a boat eager to go on that island.
It's Percy.
By now, there are even some would call it by its own name. Oh, fuck.
Akuji Kishima.
Akuji Kishima. Fuck! Instead of Rokenjima. It's understandable why sailors around here would turn down your request. From the start.
Fishermen had feared Rokenjima as an island of misfortune. Because of that incident 12 years ago, this fear reached a peak. They respected the sea, feared it, and revered it. There were almost no sailors who would try to take a boat to this cursed island. Because of that, most of the witch hunters were unable to cross over Rokenjima, rather than taking a trip around the island. Ironically, this has caused the sense of mystery surrounding Rokenjima to increase even more, resulting in the propagation of the bizarre witch stories that they loved so much.
Would you take me in your boat?
Yep. They're supposed to give it back to me just for tomorrow. Though it seems its engine has been in a pretty bad mood lately. I'm knocking into shape.
Former boat captain promised that tomorrow he would go back to his previous job and take his boat out to Rokenjima. Back to Angie.
Now, my method of transport to Rokenjima is secured. This is probably all I can do on Nijima. All that's left is tomorrow. I'll reach the final destination of a journey that stretches back 12 years.
Isn't that great? This way it looks like you'll be able to go to the island!
It sure does. I'd heard that it would be hard to find a boat, so the boat captain's helpfulness really saved me.
Although it may not be the same as it was for you, Anji-sama. I'm sure the incident 12 years ago has been a thorn for the boat captain as well. One that he still hasn't been able to pull out.
Who are you? Even the boat captain wasn't able to pull out. Able to sort his feelings. The whole time.
Was that an accident or was that
No, that was
intentional?
very intentional.
Very intentional.
I zoned out, and then I went, wait, what?
That's on the internet forever.
Sex!
Wait, what happened?
That's probably true. That guy taking his boat down on October 5th as promised. There's a chance he could have saved a lot of people. If he hadn't been hesitant to go out just because of a little wind.
Ryu! You shouldn't say things like that! I'm sure that pained the boat captain constantly until today.
Apparently, they truly had been right in the middle of a typhoon on October 5th. According to the boat captain, he had known for certain that they'd be trapped by the typhoon if they headed out to Rokenjima on October 4th. But the family had been very persistent about the date of their conference, which had been determined beforehand. It was only natural. All the relatives had been very busy at the time, and they came to the family conference only after arranging their schedules beforehand. Probably a situation where they couldn't easily push it back to the next week just because a typhoon was appearing. It wasn't the boat captain's fault, but perhaps you could say that he wasn't so irresponsible that he could place the blame wholly on the typhoon. Certainly, just as these two said, there's no doubt that the boat captain had been dragging the events of 12 years ago along with him this whole time.
And by taking me, the last member of the Oshira family line, to the island, and bringing me back safely, he might be trying to find some resolution for his past.
Boat's supposed to return this afternoon. I'll guide you to Rokinjima. I'll guide you up to Rokinjima after that, so we should arrive before evening. It's an island without electricity or lights. You won't be able to stay long. Will you be satisfied with all ending that short?
There's nothing that would make me more satisfied by staying longer. I'm grateful just to have you take me there.
Yep, don't mention it. If I hadn't parted with my boat, I'd be able to guide to the island as much as you liked without being stingy.
It's not like I have a goal of doing something in particular on Rokenjima. So I'll be there during the evening. The evening, which straddles the two different worlds of day and night, seemed almost like a borderline between this world and the next. Or possibly 1998 and 1986, and it felt like the most fitting time to visit Rokenjima. It's not like I have anything in particular to do there. Just staying there for a few hours should be enough for me to find some closure.
At the time, there was a small knock on the paper sliding door, and Amakusa stuck his head in, tapping his watch.
I nodded back and told him how I had succeeded in reserving a boat for tomorrow.
That's great. It's about time for us to go. We'll be counting on you tomorrow, Captain.
Sure, leave it to me.
Are you afraid to have these two kings on your timeline?
Oh, fuck. Tapped out. There we go. I heard all about what you guys have gone through. I also watched talk shows at the time, and I was disgusted by the people who stirred up that incident just for fun. I'll help you in any way I can.
Thank you very much. And I'll see you noon tomorrow. Here. The fare for the boat.
Angie took a wrapped wad of 10,000 yen bills from her pocket. The boat captain should have noticed its thickness as well, but he paid absolutely no interest and shook his head.
I'm grateful to you. This is a sign from the heavens. I've been given a final chance to take you to Rokenjima and bring you back safely. Now I'll be able to finally finish the job that Kinzo-san entrusted me with. I'm grateful to you. I've got more than enough money from Kansas on me back then. I can't accept yours.
Thank you very much.
Watch your step on the stairs. It's steep.
I went down a steep staircase that was the exact opposite of accessible. It was getting hard to believe that there was actually a chest of drawers and a TV in the room upstairs. Too easy. Not gonna do
Most
it.
of the first floor was a bedding store with many futons piled up on each other.
We weaved our way through the cramped futon shop.
A futa shop?
No!
Not futon. Futon.
Ah, okay.
That shit ain't my scene. I'm gonna be real with you, Chief.
Get your mind out of the goddamn gutter.
God damn!
I made a joke out of nothing. That was terrible.
After cautiously checking around outside, Amakusa dashed out first and started up the car.
Oh. There. My grandchild's room is empty. I really wouldn't mind if you stayed there. As you see, we got plenty of extra futons.
Thanks a lot for the offer. But this way, even if the unexpected happens, you won't be bothered.
I don't know the details, but it seems you've been caught up in a lot of trouble. There's a rumor that some suspicious people are searching for someone. That wouldn't happen to be you, would it?
Who knows?
Angie played dumb, but it looked as though the boat captain had guessed.
My job is to take guests to Brokenjima and bring them back again. That job was put on hold 12 years ago, and it still hasn't ended. So thanks to you, I'll finally be able to finish it. So listen. Let me finish this job, okay? Do you understand me?
Yeah. It's not like I'm going there to die. But part of me does feel that if I could die on that island, I'd surely be able to go to where my family is. I've finally become aware of it. I might have been planning to die on that island. I might have come all this way, heading towards Rokanjima, in search of a place to die. The boat captain had guessed that as well. That's why he repeatedly told me not to die. Yeah, I won't die. I promise. After all, I'm still not sure if there's any reason why I need to go to Rokenjima.
No, I'm sure there's a reason. Even if there isn't one for you, there is one for them. The island called you. That's why you came here.
That might be true. I might have been called. I was was called. For what reason? For them. Father. Mother. That little Nichan. And Maria Onechan. Or maybe the Golden Witch. Beatrice. What is on Rikenjima? And what will I achieve? Even though tomorrow is finally almost here, I still haven't been able to understand my own mission. There was the sound of a car stopping in front of the store, and a short honk could be heard. Then I'll see you tomorrow. If you'll excuse me.
Yep.
Winding between the stacks of futons in the cramped store, I was about to go outside. Then, my feet stopped.
Well, what is it?
What is that?
That? What? What are you talking about?
Trembling all over. I pointed at it. But no matter how much the boat captain squinted, he noticed absolutely nothing in that direction that should have surprised me. That must mean... That must mean...
Impossible. Why?
Ryu? Angie, what does it mean? What's going on here?
I don't have a clue either. There's no way something that ridiculous. Is this magic? A miracle? Yes, this is probably fate. Now, I understand. This was my mission.
Ryu!
I don't have a clue what...
Shaking, I pointed into the thin darkness inside the store and froze up.
What is it? Do you see something there, don't you? I don't see it. I don't see anything. What is it that you see?
Thank you, Captain. All of this, all of it, was fate. Even me visiting this place was fate. This is the mission and the purpose that I'm going to Rikenjima for.
Angie-san! What is it? Is something wrong?
Oh fuck, Amaka-san actually scared the fuck out of me.
Why is that? Why am I scary?
From the angle I was reading, it looked like he didn't have a face.
I do that sometimes.
I have way more experience scaring people, but that aside, I don't have a clue either. This girl just froze up while pointing into the darkness.
Angie-sama, are you looking at Heartless? Are you okay? What can you see?
Can't you two see it? It's that. right there. Can't you see it?
All I can see is a normal display case. There's no one there, right?
Who are you, Angie? I don't know what's going on. Is this a dream? Magic? What is it? Angie?
Sakutara lifted his face towards Angie. From her eyes slid a single tear.
Angie-sama.
Oni-chan. And Beatrice.
Who are you?
This is magic, isn't it? Fuck tease!
So are we gonna keep on going?
The show's over! Except it isn't. That's good to know.
For now, that'll be it. It is 11:30, so I guess now it's time for our discussion stuff.
Especially considering we're not staying there and finding out what magical item that Anchi saw.
4 save slots, huh?
Damn it, woman.
It's fun.
Damn it, woman. I know you promised me not to die on the island, but you better not get out of it by dying before we even get there.
But what is it? Bone, answer that question. Look at the numbers at the bottom left. Those are all save pages.
If I wanted to, I could do 40 saves, but I just feel like doing the 4 because they're all there.
Me and the boy cycling saves and visual novels.
I did that with Danganronpa.
Rotate your saves.
I kind of needed that though because sometimes I would fuck up in a social event.
Fortunately, this is a linear video game where there's literally no deviations in the plot or story whatsoever. So that'll do it for the night. Here, let's just go ahead and slide into discussion mode.
So what if Umineko had routes? Like different choices you could choose. That might be interesting.
I was gonna say this. Since Khan's theories tend to go on the longer side, I feel like we've talked about this. We want to hear everyone else have like a chance to share their theories.
Oh, I usually just rely on her to get us started.
Yeah, no. Let's let Khan do her thing.
I mean, like, you guys started, like, last time.
You guys did it last time.
You guys can start this time. I don't mind.
I don't got shit.
Nope.
You don't?
You know?
Other than the magical item that we don't know what it is.
Partly, I rely on
Such a big
Khan
mystery.
to. I kind of also rely on Khan to help me recap what happened.
Because
To
she's
help
good
my-
at that.
Yeah, to help my own memory. So it helps to bounce off.
But okay.
Like, if I needed to, I could probably do it, but it's just easier when I have somebody to bounce off.
That was it.
Well, then you know what? Do it.
I can do the last time at Dragon Ball Z recap if anybody needs it.
I feel like it'll just be more convenient if we do it the way we've been doing.
Huh.
Like, if I had, like, something I wanted to jump in, I would actually, like, jump in. Like, actually, I'm gonna start today. But I don't got nothing.
That's
Remember, if there's any details that you need refreshing on, let me know.
fair.
Like, you've seen Khan's note-taking. She's good at this.
Thank you.
Well, also, if I may, Bone, we're trying to lighten up on the recapping and discussion time.
Yeah.
Sometimes it feels like we're recapping the entirety of what happened.
You may want to make that a thing for your DMs.
In the case of right now, I don't got much.
And I've got a couple points. First one being, Cannon and Shannon specifically? Bleh. Hang on, my tongue is tied. Okay. Cannon and Shannon seem to remember and almost event for event know if when and where they die, at least in these loops. Does this mean they're actually aware of these loops themselves?
I actually did notice that, and see, this is actually why it really helps. Yeah, I actually did notice that, and that was something I was also wondering. And it does seem like, but I do find it weird that Shannon said that she did go to the Golden Land, while Cannon seems to have no memory of it whatsoever. He seems like he has never been there. Shannon had not mentioned any time that he has been there with her.
That sort of begs the question as to what exactly the Golden Land is. She described it not as a place where wishes were granted, but more as a place where wishes were fulfilled and you didn't need to wish for anything in the first place. Like a pseudo-heaven.
It could also be a implanted memory, a false memory.
Oh wow, I didn't even think of that.
I thought of that just now.
What do you guys think?
I guess I got nothing.
Implanted memory is not really something Beatrice has done before, has she?
Not that I recall, but I wouldn't put it past her at this point.
She has, like, I guess you could say that memories have been erased? I guess? Or reset? Because of the time loop?
If that is true, then why do Cannon and Shannon retain their memories?
Well, you could also just ask, why do they have magic? We don't have the... I'm not really sure. Well, there might be something that hint at it. Can't really think of it right now.
I'm also not shocked that the place that they're in that actually has the giant cage is Kuwadorian's basement. But that even begs another question. If Kuwadorian was meant to hold Beatrice, then why the fuck is there a huge cage in the basement of it?
Yeah, and torture implements. I'm pretty sure it mentioned that there was torture implements.
Oh, right, I forgot about the torture implements, fuck.
Yeah, why are those there, Kenzo?
Were they used on Beatrice if she tried to escape?
Jesus, fuck!
I hope not. But I guess if she tried to escape... Also, my headcanon is the torture devices are, in fact, the nail removal things. That's my headcanon.
That's an interesting headcanon, and I will go ahead and subscribe to that theory, because fuck, that is torture.
Psych! I bite my nails. I don't have any for them to take.
I'm pretty sure those things would find a way up in there.
So anything else, any other thoughts?
Not really.
Cannon's own acceptance that Beatrice doesn't intend for any of them to reach the Golden Land at this point would make a lot of sense. She's just dangling it right in front of them, like dangling a carrot in front of a horse just to make it go forward. No clear set reward, no chance that they can actually be rewarded. They only get the idea or the implication of it.
Anything else?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just on push to talk, remember?
I just said anything else?
Let's see. Kinzo would actually admit that the mansion was made for Beatrice. That I get. But what I don't get is how Nanjo and Kumasawa are both aware of it. In previous chapters, whenever anybody's actually asked them about this information, they've denied. But now we know, they know. So why would they lie?
Probably hard to get to.
Wait, so who's lying again? Sorry.
Nanjo and Kumasawa.
Oh, wait, I just got a ping. Feel free to keep on going.
Nanjo basically reaffirms, and he has been inside of it. And I have a strong feeling that the door involving the 1,000,000,001 chance that was hanging up with Kumasawa's son? Wait, was it her son or her grandson?
It's her son. I was wrong when I said grandson.
Okay, thank you.
And he talks like this.
Is probably the door to Kuwadorian. Which this isn't the first time we've probably seen that door. Remember chapter 2? Rosa saw it. Anyone remember that one? Anyone?
Which one?
Oh, sorry, I was reading a DM that Nora sent me.
Poop. There was a moment back in Chapter 2 where Rosa was running out in the rain, and she came across a door, but there was a different thing on top of it, and the door wouldn't open.
What did that door say, Con?
I think the door did in fact say the same thing that this door had on top of it. That it would only open if there was a 1 in quadrillion chance. Of course, I could be wrong.
Have we seen that?
I distinctly remember it, and I know... One sec while I search my notes here, because I do believe I took a note on that.
By the way, Nora, is that just a recap you sent me?
Yeah.
Alright, I just wanted to make sure like you didn't accidentally send something, because I've gotten sent a thing that was intended to go to someone else.
Well,
No, you're good.
Can't find it, but I specifically remember that. I'd need to scroll through my notes just to go ahead and find that point. Especially if keywords aren't popping up. What's all the more disturbing... sorry, am I taking up the time?
No. I was just saying,
Also, tell me if this sounds like a red flag. Kinzo actually stated a prison is a place where the captured cannot escape, and that a woman who makes you so insane that you don't want to let her escape is worth sacrificing your love for them. Doesn't
Sounds
that
like
sound
something
a bit
he'd
of a red
say.
flag?
Yes! Yes, it sounds
yes.
like the ramblings of an insane madman.
Everything Kinzo says is a red flag.
I was gonna say, like, I can't really think of anything Kinzo has said that was not a red flag.
I do not think you can get more crimson red than that.
I mean, Crimson's right here.
Deep Crimson!
I was like, funny puns aside, like, his introductory in the first episode was him rambling into a painting about how his children are worthless.
He screams to the heavens constantly, shouting the name Beatrice. He is like the epitome of a red flag.
Yeah.
And yet, he made his children incompetent with his own behavior.
Truly, he is the worst father besides that one guy.
I don't
Truly,
know.
he's the worst person.
That one guy?
What guy?
There's a lot of bad guys. You're gonna have to try
Wait.
again.
Yeah.
Neo Genesis Evangelion Genjo.
Gendo?
Oh god, yeah.
I don't know. Kenzo seems pretty bad. It's like I've only watched a bit of Eva, but it's like this guy's sending demons after his own kids.
Rough 50-50, I think. We need more information to go ahead and make that a viable comparison.
I've never fully seen Eva though, so yeah.
Neither have I, but I've only seen enough to know that he's a shit tier.
But anyway, let's talk about the bad dad that's currently relevant.
Fair's fair. I'm also concerned about what kind of test he'll actually give the grandchildren.
Probably a magical test. From hell.
Or one that presses their moral and ethical standards.
I was thinking that they were gonna have to solve the epitaph.
Nah, that too. It's also interesting about the supposed letters from the dead. Also, I super called it whenever it came to that number.
Oh yeah, I just had a thought. I was going over what Nora's recap. I have a thought of what potentially is in that display case that's nuts.
Oh, go ahead.
It's probably something that could have only been like in existence from a duplicate, something that could have only happened if magic was involved. I guess something that probably came out of the time out of Rokenjima from a different episode that contradicts the existence of another thing. Am I making sense?
Well, I mean, consider this at the very least. What is something that would make Angie go fucking bonkers if she saw more than one of that item, then?
It's like probably like the Maria's grimoire. It's like probably like a duplicate, like or something else completely.
Or another plush doll that's not supposed to exist.
I guess I had is that it might. Oh, sorry.
Timeline twice.
Jolie, Jolie, what are you gonna say?
I thought that it might have been Beatrice's pipe, like her pipe wand thing.
I like the way that she was shocked. Like, also, I don't really think that Angie would recognize what that is, or maybe she would. I don't know, but it's like, I don't know. Like the way she reacted made it seem like it's something that could not possibly exist without the use of magic, or at least from her perspective.
Like a bunch of other guesses I would have is that, well, it was a somehow fully reformed Sakutaro, but that makes no sense because Sakutaro would recognize him and like, what is that? I don't know.
But anyway, that's my thought. It's probably like a duplicate or something that just could not exist in their timeline, something like that. It would have to be also something that this guy has obtained somehow. This sailor man.
Probably something that washed up.
Beato was sending shit to people, right? Like the...
It was the 3 set envelopes with the keys. And with the numbers.
So it could have been something in one of those like storage boxes that he could have gotten it out of?
I doubt that. The only people who received those envelopes with the keys, the pin numbers, and the cards was Anji when she was 6, Kumasawa's family, and Nanjo's family. There's no way the fisherman would have also received something like that.
I thought the fisherman was Kumasawa's descent, like relative.
No.
No, I think she means Kawabata.
Wait, I thought the sailor guy was a relative of Kumasawa.
No, that's Kawabata. He's the same guy who drove the ferry that is constantly moving at the beginning of each story.
Okay, I had a misunderstanding there. I thought she just went to a different son of Kumasawa because it mentioned that she had multiple. That
is a fair shake to confuse the two.
Yeah,
he does kind of look also like Sabakichi.
Kumasawa, Kawabata, also are very similar sounding, and funny enough, on my first read through, I had actually gotten the names mixed up quite frequently.
Alright, well then he's just the guy that they took the boat on. Alright then.
Found.
Anyway, continue. What else do you got?
Well, I went and searched back my original notes and things back all the way from September 25th. Jesus Christ. That was actually not that far long ago. About the number and everything. I went through ciphers, codes, everything with this thing. Because I had one of those really weird and I was a Chunibuyo in middle school, there I said it.
Okay. Also, I don't think people are gonna know what that is. And
It means that you basically believe that you have superpowers, you can see things other people can't.
I think it's more like you speak extremely dramatically. Like,
I thought Chuni was just like
the delusion.
Play with your end.
Yeah. Like if you were to like that. Okay, that aside, what's up with the Umi theory?
So, I originally just went through a bunch of ciphers for it, decided overall that it was a bank account number. And then after I went and looked through everything else, I have to scroll for one moment.
Also, unrelated reminder, do not look up stuff.
Ciphers, I imagine, are okay, right?
Nah.
No.
I have the ciphers copied down into a notebook I had back in middle school. Right next to the dragonology, dragon language. Shut up.
Somebody has someday.
Shut up!
Can't believe Khan's quoting Dwayne The Rock Johnson, or as Josh would call him.
I'm curious,
I used to be able to write my name in Gallifreyan, if that makes you feel any better.
Could you also read Klingon?
I learned a small amount of Klingon, yeah.
Man, this is interesting.
So what about the theory? What about the theory, huh? What about the theory?
Go back to your theory, though.
So, back to the theory. There was a mention earlier in the story of how Shannon had a bank account. So I only figured the one number, and or at least the one person that it could have involved with, because murder mysteries and stories like this in general, when they full circle, it would have to be Shannon's. So that pretty much begs the question.
I have a question.
What's up?
And this might be my fever-induced state because I'm really tired.
Don't press yourself, okay?
They all have bank accounts because they're rich. Why is it? Or not?
I was speaking more specifically about servant bank accounts.
How is a servant bank account different from a normal bank account?
That would have to be the way that these bank accounts have money stored compared to other ones. Instead of the gold or anything else, it's in the suitcase, inside of a locked safe, in major stacks. It's set up to be suspicious money, which, if you think about it, Kinzo would totally have them do. Meaning that would be their continuous payment for their service in the mansion.
I mean, also, the rich people are also rich business people.
Exactly.
So it'd make more sense for, rich business people to have bank accounts, as in, I'm talking more, everybody on that island, would have one.
I think it's odd, though, that it's in cash in a suitcase.
That's something I'm still trying to wrap my head around. It could just be that it's just a dignitary thing, just because they're still of a lower caste, but they still earn the money through mostly working and supporting Kinzo in the mansion. But the fact that it's stored this way...
That's whack. That's not normal.
It's sort of... It's almost as if it was reappropriated or just taken straight from the Mafia. But I doubt that. You guys have any ideas?
Oh, normal. Oh, I just got a ping. Anyway, normally whenever stuff is done in cash, it's not legal money. Whenever it's just stacks of cash, there's usually something dirty about that.
Or they're money laundering to something else.
Which leaves with a couple options. Either this money was intentionally left there with the idea that it would only be accessed for those other people and they'd immediately infer that their relatives were doing something dangerous. Or this is just another trick of Beatrice's. Something to really insult the dead. Actually, it would make sense if it would insult the dead. It would make all that money seem really suspicious. Especially to the blah 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 blah. Curse word! Especially to the remaining family.
It is hard to transfer a huge amount of physical cash into somewhere where it doesn't look like you got it from illegal means.
Especially if it's in a safety deposit box, lad. That's secure.
Although I do find it odd if it is dirty money, I don't know, dude. Would banks accept putting something in their deposit boxes that are that suspicious?
Banks.
If you're rich enough.
Yeah, you got punted.
And you heard. Sorry.
But unfortunately, if you have a huge amount of deposits in any location, they'll automatically notice it because that's how banks work. They notice big money transfers.
There was also the matter that the person, Nanjo's son, who actually did manage to go in there, could get in there with the pin, the card, and the key. And they didn't ask for identification, meaning anybody could have left that money there. Kinzo included, or if it was just another servant or anything.
Huh?
Still, it could also be that it isn't dirty money and that it just looks that way. sort of like a trap. Let's see. The only other thing I can actually I can't really verify anything else. But as for the thing that was in the display case, it could be another copy of Maria's diary. I was originally gonna say it could possibly be another hairband, but the ones on Angie's head are specifically meant for commercialized use, meaning there's probably a ton of them, and they did come out of that vending machine. Or UFO catcher, sorry.
It's a vending machine where you cannot get anything out of it.
Yeah, that's pretty much fair. It also must be something deeply personal to her. She shed a tear, and she immediately realized that she got there. Another idea that just popped into my head. Natsuhi's little pocket mirror.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've heard about that thing.
What if that's the thing inside the display case?
Would she recognize it?
Possibly.
I also don't exactly know why that would cause
Sorry.
such an intense reaction due to the fact that it's like it's just like an object. Like, yeah, it could have washed up. It's like, yeah, I don't think that would cause the reaction she had.
That is fair.
Like, it could also just be a mirror.
Wait, I think I know what it might be.
What do you think?
What's the fizz?
It might be the scorpion amulet thing that Maria had.
The scorpion amulet?
Why would?
Yeah.
Okay, so I still don't know why she'd be like, oh, there's no way this could be here. Oh wow, this is so crazy. Like that would certainly cause a reaction, but I don't think it would have the amount of drama that it had if it was that.
It could be that, because that was explicitly owned by Maria, and I don't know where else she had that from.
Scorpion amulet, mirror, second diary. It has to be something that couldn't possibly exist twice if there was only one of a kind of it.
But we don't even know if that's actually the case, if that is what she's reacting to. She never said that this couldn't possibly exist because of this.
It's only a minor thought that I had, but you have a fair point.
Out of curiosity, like the others were acting nonplussed, right? Like even Mammon, or were
Even
they freaking
Mammon.
out? Or was she freaking out? I can't remember.
They all
She was freaking out as well.
Okay, so she was also freaking out. All right, I couldn't remember if it was just
she
Nancy.
The demons around her were also freaking out, being like, I can't believe it either. Ooh, wow.
This is gonna be revealed in like episode 6.
Zooey
won't it?
mama.
What if it was another one of Beatrice's stakes? The physical one.
That was something I thought, but then I thought that I still don't think that would be the reaction she would have. Because, like, again, that could just be something that just washed up.
Fair point.
Because I feel like it was just a thing that could be explained, then I don't think she would be having the reaction. Like, the reaction I got from it, that I think that she got from it, was, this shouldn't be here. That's my guess.
And it does feel a lot like Ryukishi and in the mystery genre to leave us hanging like this. Fucking cock tease.
Yeah, they want you to come back.
Gah, it's a good hook.
He's just really good at teasing cock, I guess.
Yeah, he tickles the balls.
Kawabata couldn't pull out.
I need cock, Ryukishi.
Well, that's a clip on the internet forever.
I need!
I mean, they could just delete this.
He needs it like he needs his crazy bread.
Why would
Yeah,
I delete that clip? In fact, if you're watching, I encourage you to clip this.
They'll be there as long as Twitch is and YouTube.
You okay there, babe?
Crazy cock.
You sure you're okay?
Huh? Who?
He doesn't look too hot.
We're just gonna end the stream
I'm just tired.
now, baby.
Read Beaglesaurus.
Are we out of?
I got all my
stuff?
ideas out
We're
there.
about to be out. Good night, everybody.
Huh?
Good night,
Good night.
Wisconsin.
Done it. Mwah.
Bogus